Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session, Don't Stress. I wish you all a very happy festive season. Um, so, don't stress. I think it's safe to say that we all know what stress is. What is stress? Simply put, stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. When we say this is stressful or that I feel stressed, we might be referring to a situation or an event that puts pressure on us. For example, when we have a fast approaching deadline, or when we find ourselves in conflict with our partner, or when our bicycle wheels spin on a slippery road. These are typical situations in which we feel stressed. But physiologically speaking, stress activates the fight or flight response in our body. Our heart beats faster, we breathe more rapidly, our muscles become tense, and we feel a sense of unease. Some people can talk very quickly when they're stressed, some bite their nails. It is our body's way of preparing us for a threat and launching us into action. Well, before I scare you off, let's also recognize that our stressors can be identified and stress can very much be managed. External factors may not always be in our control, but we can choose how to respond to things that stress us out. Um, to guide us more on the subject, we have an exciting new guest with us today. Let me introduce to you expert in hypnotherapy and trauma counseling, and Professor Thanooja Faisal. Thanooja, welcome to our channel. Um,
Thank you,
Hi.
Ria. Thank you so much. Hi.
I, I hope I've managed to somewhat encapsulate the many things you do, but I'd love you to tell our audience here a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I think you have kind of said who I am and what I do. Yeah, so I have been working with trauma affected people for some time. And then I shifted to hypnotherapy, where I used hypnotherapeutic methods to treat illness, various kinds of illness. Then now, presently, I am teaching psychology and physiology for college undergrad students. So
Right.
that is all about me. Yeah.
Right, that's brilliant. Thank you, Tanuja. We are really happy to have you here with us today to tell us about stress. Previously when we thought about stress, we would think of the weather, or the cues outside the park.
Is there a problem with the connectivity? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
would you like me to repeat the question, Tanuja?
Yes, yes. I didn't hear you. Yeah.
Sure, no worries. I was trying to tell you that previously when we thought of stress, we
Yeah.
would think of the weather or
Yes,
traffic or long queues outside the and all sorts of external factors.
that's
And
right.
this year, although we have been working from home for the most part, I mean, you and I are having this conversation remotely, a lot have reported to feeling the same level or sometimes even higher levels than before. So, could you start off by telling us what is stress and what is stress in medical terms?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Ria. I get that. Okay. So, coming to the scientific definition of stress, we see stress is something that disrupts or threaten to disrupt our psychological or physical functioning. So basically, it may not be an original stress or a threat, but it might be just a perception. We perceive it as a threat. So earlier we used to find excuses all around us, why we get stressed so easily, why we tense so much, why does we get a headache so badly. It is all the traffic, it is the deadlines, and the list goes on. Now, despite of the traffic, despite of being with us, with within our own homes, we find it very difficult to deal with stress. And so,
Yeah.
why does this stress happen? So, is it really the external thing that is causing the trouble, or is it something that we can deal with? Is it
Mm-hmm.
something that is coming from within? So, basically, talking, we need some amount of stress in order to function as human beings. We look for, like Viktor Frankl says, we look for goals or logos in his logotherapy. He says that we need some goal in order to move forward. So this particular stress makes us to move forward. So without having stress, for example, right now it's the pandemic that is going on, and if there is no stress happening, then we wouldn't be developing a vaccine for it, right? So stress is not that bad, but it is bad when it is longer and if the duration lasts for longer. Am I audible, Ria? Can you hear me?
Could just repeat the last.
The last I just said that.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we need some amount of stress, but if it is in long run, then it can be harmful for us. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, we've got two types of stress. That is
Right.
stress, which is a positive stress. We need
Right.
positive stress in order to move on with life.
Mm-hmm.
So, stress helps us to complete a task, or if you need to take an exam, you need stress. You need some kind of stress. If tomorrow is your exam and you're least bothered about it, or you're not
Mm-hmm.
stressed at all, you won't
Then you will
bother
not.
to study at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need some kind of stress, and that is why stress is important. And if it is more than what is required, if it is more than what is required for us, then it becomes a distress. And
Right.
that is the second category of stress, which is distress.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the stress is what happens if stress lasts for longer?
Mm-hmm.
It it affects our system. It
Right.
affects us very badly.
Right. Right.
And there are also two different categories of stress other than the eustress and the distress,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is the acute and the chronic stress.
Right.
Acute stress is something like the eustress itself.
Mm-hmm.
It is short run. It occurs when you hit the brakes,
Mm-hmm.
when dog starts coming behind you, or
Yeah.
something of that happens.
Yeah.
That is acute stress. And
Right. Right.
coming to chronic stress is something long lasting, which we
Mm-hmm.
need to deal with.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is chronic stress.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you want to ask me in
Yeah.
between? I just keep
Sure.
on going. Yeah.
I mean that I was just coming to my next question, which you've already answered, which was if stress can be classified in terms of. So I guess stress, as you say, might even have benefits for us,
Yeah.
but chronic stress can often lead to long-term consequences.
Yeah.
And that does give stress a bad reputation. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, what are the health risks of chronic stress?
Okay, chronic stress can, as we all know, chronic stress can lead to major diseases like heart attacks, obesity, cancer, and skin-related issues, and lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when we see stress, we sometimes attribute it only to the negative consequences of the
Yeah.
environment. But actually, just look at the positive sides. If you're going to get married, you are stressed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get a promotion, you are stressed. If you call
Mm-hmm.
me to talk, I am stressed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the external source is. It has become a habit that to be stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now coming to the physiological aspect of stress,
Mm-hmm.
there was this guy called Hans Selye, and he had divided it into three stages, which is the alarm stage, the resistance stage,
Mm-hmm.
and the exhaustion stage.
Right.
So when you encounter stress, your alarm stage has been activated.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's sort of like the first moment of encountering
yeah,
stress.
yeah, you were buzzing that button. and you get all excited,
Worked
and
up.
that is the yeah, worked up.
Mhm.
So it excites you, and it what do you say? All your physiological activity gets aroused,
Mhm.
and your heartbeat increases, your breathing rate increases, and all those
Mhm.
physiological changes takes place.
Mhm.
And the next level is resistance stage. That is, if it is continuing for a longer time,
Mhm.
then these physiological changes tend to come down a bit.
Okay.
Not so much than the normal, but little above the normal,
Mhm.
but not as much as the alarm stage.
Right.
Okay, so that is the resistance phase, and that lasts longer than the alarm stage. And
Okay.
third comes the exhaustion stage. That is the
Mhm.
end of the stress response, and you're
Mhm.
just trying to go back to your normal relaxed state.
Mhm.
So people in chronic stress, under chronic stress,
Mhm.
tends very less likely to go to this exhaustion stage or take breaks in between each
Right.
stress cycle. Yeah, so
Right.
that is where the problem arises.
So they stay in the resistance stage for a very
Yes,
long
yes,
period of
very
time.
long time. Yeah. Yeah.
And this in this resistance stage, I was reading somewhere that your the diameter of your blood vessels decrease by your
Yeah.
blood rushes, and this in a very long period of time can lead to cardiovascular diseases
That's right.
and other kinds of. So yeah, that makes complete sense. I was also there are also two words that we hear a lot along with stress. One is anxiety and one is depression. So I wanted to ask you, what is anxiety and related to stress, and how is depression also related to stress, or is it?
A very interesting question, Ria. I really like to say my personal thought on this.
Yes, please.
When we see anxiety, you
Yeah.
are worried about your future, right?
Hmm.
Anxiety is always about what will happen next, what will happen in future.
Yeah.
Whereas depression is all about living in the past. You're always in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Your last year was much better than this year, the present year.
Yeah.
So that is what is happening. You're all stressed about
Yeah.
what is not in your hand, what is not
Yeah.
with you. So
Huh?
that is about anxiety and depression and stress. So if
Yeah.
you live in the present, it is much better than being in
Mhm.
the past or in the future. We hardly live in the moment. Right now, I
Mhm.
am talking to you and I have to be here,
Yeah.
not thinking about what will be the consequences if the connection goes wrong, if something goes wrong. Instead of that,
Philosophical.
just be with the, yeah, just enjoy the moment. I think that
Yeah.
makes more of a sense when you talk about stress.
Yeah. I think the wise old man past will agree with you. uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
that makes sense. So if I understood correctly, anxiety is
mhm.
related to the future, projecting yourself into the future. Depression has a lot to do with regrets and thinking over the past, right?
Yeah. There was this book called The Power of Now.
Uh-huh.
And in that the author had mentioned there's this very what do you say, high
Mm-hmm.
class or high ranked government official. Okay, he
Mm-hmm.
goes to the Zen monk and asks him, what is ego, what is ego, monk? And
Yeah.
the monk says, how dare you ask such a stupid question? And he slowly adds, that is ego. And
Mm.
that is ego induced stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ego induced. That's
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. So we hardly notice that fact that we tend to get stressed out, maybe
Mm-hmm.
just because our ego got hurt. So if
Mm-hmm.
somebody rejects your project, or if somebody rejects your idea, you get stressed easily. And
Right.
that is ego induced stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we don't really think about. If you hold on to it, it is very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very very important to let go of it at that stage itself before
Mm-hmm.
it coming be holding it for longer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting that you say this because it hadn't come to my mind before. But it is true.
Yeah.
If you have a very strong sense of self, you can
Yeah.
get offended more easily. You can get ruffled more easily. You can get stressed more easily.
Yeah.
um, and it's I heard somewhere that some people say that the moment you sort of align yourself internally with how things are externally,
Mhm.
reduce stress. And this brings me right to my next question with you. You as a specialist, what are the methods that you would recommend to reduce stress? And can you give us some tips on stress management?
Yeah, before I get into it, I want you to understand some physiology that is related to stress.
Yes,
So
please.
we've got two very important hormones that plays in our body when we're stressed out.
Okay.
So one is adrenaline or epinephrine. We call it adrenaline or epinephrine.
Right.
And the other is cortisol. So cortisol
Okay.
is also known as a stress hormone.
Right.
Okay. So what happens is when you are in the alarm stage, when you encounter a stress,
Hmm.
how do you encounter it? How do you perceive it as stress?
How do I perceive it as stress?
Yeah.
Well, of climbing a mountain and looking
Okay.
down and thinking if I fall, I will die. And that would
Yeah.
put me in a stressful situation.
Yeah. So what is helping you to see that you're on top of the mountain?
The the vertigo, I think, the height.
You don't have to go till there. Before that,
Even
what
before that,
helps? Yeah. What helps you to see that you've reached that height? I
the
already gave you the answer.
what helps me see my the distance,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
birds, planes,
Okay. What
or
helps you see it?
my eyes.
Yeah, that's right. Excellent.
Very
Excellent. Yeah. You got stressed out. That's why you were blabbering.
Yeah, yeah. I got
Yeah.
stressed out.
Yeah.
I've got like a sweat crawling down my brow, and
Yeah. Yeah. She's asking me something and I have to give the perfect answer.
yeah.
Yeah. So your eyes and your ears gives
Hmm.
messages to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Brain is where the stress response is taking place.
Right.
So it gives signal to the brain, a place called amygdala. Amygdala is the area which
Okay.
helps you interpret the emotional information. Okay, so now the amygdala is going to tell another person that this is a distress, and
Right.
that is hippocampus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
and hippocampus is the main command center of our brain.
That tells us what to do. So
Yeah, that tells the body what to do.
I see.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so hippocampus gives signals to autonomic nervous system, or you can just say that another organ to produce some hormones, and those hormones are epinephrine or adrenaline.
Okay.
Okay, so
Right.
when these are released into the bloodstream,
Yeah.
lots of physiological changes takes place.
Okay.
Your blood vessel becomes bigger.
Right.
Yeah, so it
Mm-hmm.
helps in blood flow, and
Mm-hmm.
so that oxygen reaches all the parts of your body.
Mm. And you can
Mm.
respond.
Yeah, you become more alert, your eyes and your ears become more sharper,
Mm-hmm.
and your muscles become tense. You're
Mm-hmm.
ready for a fight or flight,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so this is what actually happens in the presence of the hormone adrenaline. I
Right.
am explaining so much because I teach physiology, okay?
Yeah. And you're making stress sound almost as if it's a friend. I mean,
Yeah, it is. It is. If you see it as a friend, it will see you as that
as a friend.
thing's friend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is the case of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And now adrenaline is stopping its function. It is going to reduce. It is going to come to its normal state.
Right.
And norepinephrine or non-adrenaline is the one that takes the role of it to bring your body back to normal state.
Mm-hmm.
But once your alarm stage is over, our body takes to us the resistance stage,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So resistance stage, in that stage, the same gland, the adrenal gland, which is secreting epinephrine, also
Mm-hmm.
releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone.
Okay.
That is maintaining the cycle again.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is taking on, and it will make you more hungry. It increases your appetite, and that is why people become more hungry during their time, and you want to eat more because you need more energy to deal
Yeah.
with the stress. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because body doesn't know if it is a perceived stress or a real stress. It just knows how
Yeah.
to deal with whatever is given to them,
Yeah. That
right?
makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no wonder that a lot of us have been stress eating at home.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
is why obesity is a reason when chronic stress takes place,
Mm-hmm. I
and
see.
also yeah, and also it helps in what do you say? It also enhances. I mean, puts on weight because it tends to store whatever energy is left in the body. So even
Mm.
if you don't eat, all the energy is been stored in the form of
Right.
fat. So that is two reasons why you put on weight when you are stressed
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is one of the symptoms. If you ask me, what chronic stress brings you into,
Yeah.
then common worries would be will be like sleeplessness. When
Mm-hmm.
you're stressed, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
sleep. Insomnia, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
sleep. You will be tired all day because all your energy has been taken up
Taken up.
or
Mm-hmm.
eaten up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one problem. And then if you see stress again, another problem is what do I say? Uh, what do you feel when you are stressed out?
Um.
Yeah, you'll get stomach upset
Mm-hmm.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll either be constipated or you'll have diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all a sign of stress. Your body is showing you stress, that you are stressed out. Because
Mm-hmm.
once it is prolonged or if it
Mm-hmm.
lasts longer,
Yeah.
then it is hard for you to identify it.
Yeah.
You,
Makes
you
sense.
might you might feel that there's something wrong with your body, but you wouldn't perceive it as stress.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So
So
the more
these
you stay in it, the more difficult it gets to get out of it, to identify it, and
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, another problem is when you're stressed out, your joints and all of it is very tensed because you are in a state to fight or fly from that particular situation. So you tend to
Yeah.
have so many body pains, shoulder aches, and all that. So that is
Yeah.
another main symptom if chronic
Mm-hmm.
stress has been prolonged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That makes
and
a lot of sense. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and these are some of the problems. And
Yeah.
then and then what happens is if it is prolonged, what else can you think of, Ria?
I can think of fatigue actually. I
Yeah,
think, oh,
tiredness.
yeah, in my own life, is when I've been really stressed. I've been tired very easily, or had a fuzzy mind. I have to think very clearly at the end of the day, at a stressful work day. So yeah, I mean, you do feel your energy being depleted,
Yeah,
and which is, I think, what makes it so important to understand how to, which is what makes me feel that stress is inevitable after all. I mean, it's not something that we can just do away with. So, what are your some of stress management? How would you advise me, for example, to manage stress in my life every day? And what are some of the ways you've seen in your patients and your own surroundings in which people manage stress
yeah.
better?
If I am to tell you, I can say eat properly. Maintain a balanced diet, eat proper food. You
Yeah.
really need it, you need a balanced food. That is very important. When we work out a lot, it is very difficult to, even me as I'm working, I skip meals, and that is not
Mm-hmm.
really good. So even if you are you can have a fruit or something, but you make sure that you eat something
Mm-hmm.
so that you need energy to work it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is very important thing. And even in earlier philosophies, it has been said that we get distressed because of some imbalance in our body fluids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very entire topic when it comes to the history. It
Mm-hmm.
was mentioned in Greek history as well as in Indian history,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as of how the body fluids when goes imbalance, how it
Mm-hmm.
affects strength. So it is important to balance it, and the best way to do it is to go out and do some exercise. So if you're really stressed out, just go take a quick brisk walk,
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
anything that you like, anything you are fond of, any of your hobbies or things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that will really energize you. And
Mm-hmm.
another quick tip would be
Mm-hmm.
to take a couple of deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
abdominal breaths. That is, if you're taking a hold, release it slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It it makes a lot of difference. Why? Because it is the only conscious thing, automatic thing that we can do it. The rest of I mean, you cannot control how your heart pumps blood, you cannot control your digestion, nothing. But this is the only unconscious activity that can be done consciously, and that is why it is important to take deep breaths when you're stressed out,
Uh-huh.
as well as it is the only way how oxygen reaches your brain so
Mm-hmm.
that you can think straight.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why yoga and tai chi and such exercises, meditation is very important.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness is another thing that you can practice.
So, mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So that is a few of my tips that I give my clients. And
Mhm.
you should have a sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
People don't give much of an importance to sleep. They
Mhm.
just sleep like they'll work overnight and they sleep whenever early in the morning or what. So, but then once it start affecting your immune system, that is when
Mhm.
you start to take control of it.
Right.
So another thing when it comes to stress, if it is predictable, controllable, and if it is something that you can terminate, you
Mhm.
wouldn't see it as a stressful situation. If you ask me to go on the stage and dance, and if I'm a bad dancer, then I'll be finished. I'll
Mhm.
be finished. I'll be making a fool out of myself. But if I am a great dancer, going
Yeah.
to the stage is not a problem for me at all,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So if it is controllable and predictable, people tend to handle stress in a much
That's
easier
good.
way. Yeah. So now coming to the four A's that I've been, keeping
Yes.
aside.
I've been waiting for you
Uh,
to come to.
yeah. So the four A's that we've been hiding aside is A is avoid. Okay. So we might think that most of these stresses are uncontrollable. It is not under control. What can we do and all that? But there are
Mhm.
lots and a number of stresses that you can actually avoid.
Mhm.
Okay. So if it is the traffic that you are blaming, then you can
Right.
take a longer route, or you can
Yeah.
start early from home.
Yeah.
So if it is the long queues, then you can pack
Mhm.
your food
Yeah.
if you are done doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then coming on to what else? Like the to-do list. That is another thing that you think that your life revolves around the to-do list. But
Mhm.
actually, what happens is it is our to-do list, and to-do
Yeah.
list is not taking us. It shouldn't
Yeah.
consume us. So
Yeah.
I personally had encountered it.
The to-do list taking over your life. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what happens is what one quick tip for that is prioritize it.
Mhm.
Give A, B, and C.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
keep it as A, B, and C, and do the most important things. Keep the most important things as A, the second
Yeah.
most important thing as B, and
Yeah.
least important things as C. So if you do it on that day, it is well and good. And if you're not doing it as also, it's okay. So on
Yeah.
rush hours, you can just strike out the C part.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
that is how you take care of your to-do list. Now coming to the second A. Second A is alter.
Mhm.
Alter.
Yeah.
Ria,
Thanooja,
can you give me a moment? One
yeah,
moment, please.
sure, sure, of course.
Hi, Ria. Sorry.
No worries, no worries at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I did
So
some
I
reading,
was.
so now I'm calm.
That is good, right? Yeah. So the second A is to alter.
Mm-hmm.
So we said that you can avoid certain situations, you can move away from some things and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things that you can't avoid. You have a chatty roommate, you have a very irritating relative, and those things you cannot really avoid. You can
Yeah,
avoid going to the weddings,
yeah.
but you cannot avoid them if they are at home. So what
Mm-hmm.
do? You alter the situation.
You alter the
So
situation.
yeah, you alter it, you make it, you communicate your feelings open. You tell them what you feel. Instead
Yeah,
of hiding it under the carpet, it's better to say what comes
yeah.
the way. Not in a very rude way, you can just tell them very genuinely and politely. You can tell that you are taking up so much of my energy and please,
Yeah.
and you should also be willing to alter your behavior at the same time. It is
Mm-hmm.
a give and take thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for your well-being, it is good that you alter it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a chatty roommate, coming back to the chatty roommate, and tomorrow you are having a very important work or a project to submit, then
Yeah.
you can tell her that I am really sorry, I've got 5 minutes for you, and I need to get back to work. You can
Yeah.
say this. You can say this assertively, not
Mm-hmm.
rudely, but assertively.
That's
And then,
altering the
yeah,
situation.
the altering the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, and and you need to take a bigger picture of what it is. In instead of thinking, will it be taking my whole time?
Mm-hmm.
That if you're stressed about some work, just think that does this performance affect you in a year or in
Mm-hmm.
5 years, and think
Mm-hmm.
in that way. And if
Mm-hmm.
it is not, then just let it go.
Right.
And the third A is to adapt to the situation. It is again reframing the situation
Mm-hmm.
and and adapting. You can say that the thought process, whatever the negative thoughts which is coming in, you can just stop that right away. So that is one way of adapting to a particular situation.
Mm-hmm.
And finally comes the last, that is accepting the situation. Some stresses you can't really do anything to change it. You just have to accept the situation.
Uh-huh.
So that is why when you're really stressed out, you just call up your friend, best friend, or your sibling and just talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you talk to them, the problem is not getting solved or nothing is changing, but at least you know that you're sharing it, the burden is reduced, the stress
Mm-hmm.
is gone to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one way how you accept the situation, and then practice positive self talks.
Mm-hmm.
You need to practice it. And another thing of accepting this is forgive. I told you about the ego in the beginning, right? Ego induced stress.
Yes.
So we need to forgive ourselves and others, because holding on to anger is like wasting lots of energy,
Yeah. And keeping the
right?
stressor inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the other person is not even aware that you are mad at them, but you are just holding it back to yourself,
Yeah.
So it's very important that you let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so forgiving is, it's hard in the beginning, but once you start practicing it, it's the best thing that you can give yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel very light.
Mm-hmm.
And these are few of the methods that I give my client in order to manage stress, and they can
Mm-hmm.
choose any of these 4 A's, however the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I guess um, I guess most of us use a combination of the
Of
four
the
to
four,
deal,
yeah, that's
to
right.
deal with
Yes,
stress.
yes, yes, yes.
When we're trying to communicate to our stressor that they're stressing us, and we also call our sister or our best friend in the
That's
evening
right.
and tell them that I had a bad day.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes a lot of sense. I also wanted to ask you. Uh, there's a slightly controversial school of thought that says embracing stress is actually more important than reducing stress, because stress in our lives is inevitable anyway. And for many of us who are who either want to or need to take risks for being on top in their life, in at their workplace or even at their homes. So as long as we are living and we're striving to do something, we're somehow all confronted with some amount of stress, right?
Yeah.
So what would you have to say about that stress and risk taking on the other hand?
Okay, stress and risk taking. If you get more stressed out about a risk event, then
Mhm.
there's no fun in it. Just
Yeah.
see it as a, what do you say? You just complete the task, what is in
Yeah.
hand,
Hmm.
rather than stressing more about it or worrying about your performance. If you
Hmm.
just tend to just do what is to be done, I think it
Hmm.
is the best way to deal with stress related. I mean,
Hmm.
adventure related,
Yeah.
risk taking,
Yeah.
and stress.
Yeah.
So if you are more of an adventurous person, then stress is will be there, but you learn how to overcome it. And
Hmm.
when you overcome it, just see the end result. You will
Hmm.
be in a different level than what you were.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that would be reinforcing, I guess,
Yeah,
to see.
absolutely. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that a good way of thinking about stress is to put a reward at the end of it. You know,
yeah,
the stress doesn't seem like the stress just seems a part of the reward along
yes,
the
yes,
experience.
that's right.
That's very interesting. Because I often sort of my mom used to tell me as little that if you have a very taxing sort of homework or an exam, just think that you'll come home and eat your favorite piece of
I
chocolate or
know, I
chocolate,
know.
and then the stress is like something to tick off the list. Okay, fine, let's get it done, and then we can have that reward. So
Yeah, that's right.
that's very good.
Yeah.
As a final question, Tanuja, to you, when facing a difficult or stressful situation, um, you talked about the momentary response, when that we should breathe consciously and slowly. That helps slow down the body's response already. But
Yeah.
people living with chronic or people living with stressful situations every day, what do they do when they are facing it? What other solutions?
You can keep a journal or a diary. Earlier days you used to write a lot. These
Mm-hmm.
days, gadgets has taken all that from us. So I think it is also best to write down your thoughts, your
Yeah.
negative thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
whatever comes your way in a diary or a journal. If you keep
Mm-hmm.
it with you, you'll be able to track what are the things that is bothering you. Maybe you were not aware of it, but when you write it down, you'll get little more clarity than what it seems.
Mm.
So I think keeping a journal is a good method, and find somebody that you can talk to.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be at least one person you can consult a psychologist or a counselor if you don't find anybody you can talk to. And when we have such tools in hand, then why do we, uh, what
Let's.
do you say? Yeah, why do we suffer alone when we have so many tools? Especially
Yeah.
in this era where people talk about their difficulties so openly, why do we need to just, hold ourselves back?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of us may not even be aware of the stresses or may not be aware that we are tensed. But once we
Yeah.
look into it, once we take a look into it, you can live a much, much better and fruitful life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great note on which to end the session. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for this illuminating session, Tanuja. I think I have, personally, I have a better understanding of stress and anxiety. And if not reduce our discomfort, this session will have equipped our viewers with tools to deal with stress in a healthy way and see it as the useful mechanism that it can be for us sometimes. So thank you. Thank you for taking time off your during to speak to us. Um,
Thank you, Ria. It was lovely being here.
Thanks, Tanuja. Have a good day. Have a good
You
week.
too. You too, Ria.
So, guys, delaying health issues is not a good thing, and getting care quickly can make a big difference in your treatment. So, if you're experiencing any kind of discomfort, go to www.docvita.com and connect with the right specialist. We are DocVita, a platform for you to talk to India's top doctors. Signing off, this is Ria from DocVita. Wish you all a fantastic week ahead.